Shalom Akim, Kal Halalim La, Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua Bashem Kal Kudash, and double honors to the Son Apostles. Yaratazah, you find this video edifying and exhorting, and thoroughly Yahushua for the strength in order to make this video. And Yaratazah, this will be, a video that gets straight to the point. So, just reading the description, it says, the cybersecurity risk of brain-computer interfaces, which of course, as you can tell from the title, well, I did name it this. I named it, yes, all Esau's tech and devices are hackable. Of course, we're going to get into a precept to show that too. But we're going to see this video, and then you'll understand what I mean. Even just from the description alone, you'll see why. So the cybersecurity risk of brain-computer interfaces and neuroware. So brain-computer interfaces, aka Neuralink chip. That's an example in itself, a neuroware. So I'm going to read the description. It says brain chips and EEG headsets, which is, I had to search it up. EEG stands for electroencephalogram. Yeah, electroencephalogram. Quite a mouthful. So EEG headsets, brain chips and EEG headsets are often marketed as revolutionary tools for medicine, accessibility, and human-computer interactions. They also introduce a serious privacy risk, not because they read your thoughts, but because your brain produces automatic recognition signals when you see meaningful information. So now it says those signals can be measured with EEG. It says researchers have shown that these neural responses can be used to infer sensitive information, even when users never intentionally reveal anything. Your brain isn't designed to keep secrets from instruments. And this is from the channel Gabriel Torch. I saw it on the recommend. I decided, okay, this looks interesting. So of course, this is all going to be possible. So even despite Esau thinking that his system is going to be, how can I say, untouchable. This great beast system. At the end of the day, Esau's tech is flawed. So it is hackable. So hence why, when certain things happen, of course, when people take that MOTB, of course, we know about the cancerous. In fact, you know what? Let me just get the precepts out, and then Yaratazar will begin with this video shortly after. This is Revelation 13 and 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So that's really the key part, because that right hand and the forehead really just refers to the brain, the head, where that chip, that implant is going to be placed within. That's the MOTB, mark of the beast. And I said in the right hand as well, that's going to be that the implant that will then be placed, on the hand, whether it's left or right, So, verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So, of course, for those who don't, give into the beast system, via the implant, and of course, partaken in the societal expectations or the beast's expectations, they'll be excluded, ostracized from society. So it says, or the number of his name. So here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding. So again, verse 17 means you can't buy, you can't sell, you can't partake in business, you can't have a job, you can't pay bills with it without that MOTB. That really clears any suspicion on that V, and the V being the V referring to back in 2021, when you had the demic, that happened. So that's not the MOTB, because you can still pay for things via cash, you can still pay for things via card, via phone. There are multiple ways to still pay for things. But when the time comes when this implant is made, he causeth all, as it says in verse 16. which means people will be put in a position where they'll have no choice but to accept it. It'll be super hard. But anyways, the point is there'll be no other choice but to use Esau's implant to pay for things. Verse 18, here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 66. You see, so 666, man. That's going to be that implant. That really represents Esau, Edom. That's why he loves that number, number 6. All right, but this is going to be the result of those who take the MOTV, that implant. So Revelation 16 and I'll start from verse 1, but the key part is verse 2. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying, to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. So of course, those who take the implant, they would have a smelly and painful sore. You could liken that as a cancer. Let's read in the NLT as well. It says, so in the right side, New Living Translation, Revelation 16 and 2. So the first angel left the temple and poured out his bowl upon the earth, and horrible and malignant sores broke out on everyone who had the mark of the beast and who worshipped his statue. So of course, again, those who took the implant, they will reap the consequence, and you're going to see them cancerous sores. They're going to feel it. It's going to be painful having it, man. Something, oh, but when that comes out, it's going to be obvious who took it, man, because all the signs will be there. Everything's going to be exposed. All right, so let's get back to the video. And after that, I'll get some more precepts. And that'll be the point, really.
Experts are warning that there is a massive security risk when it comes to brain-computer interfaces, and that doesn't just mean brain chips, although yes, brain chip. Those headsets that you might wear to read your... Experts are warning that there is a massive security risk when it comes to brain-computer interfaces, and that doesn't just mean brain chips, although yes, brain chip. Those headsets that you might wear to read your mind, yes, those are a massive security risk too. Now, we all do have smartwatches, and did you know that those could be used in a court of law? They're not as protected as medical information via HIPAA, but HIPAA's not that protective if somebody really needs it. They can be hacked, and they have been a big problem with people using them to, say, stalk people. Things that read your mind are an exponentially greater risk. Now, you might have seen advertisements for EEG headsets, things that can help you focus or tell you when you're fatigued. And yeah, I was actually interested in them too, except for what happens when they're hacked. Now, EEGs cannot effectively read inner speech, although people have tried, and AI technology may make this much more possible, because AI can find out tiny patterns that somebody might miss or never find an algorithm that could decode, but this is something AI is very good at.
That's why the B system, AI, artificial intelligence, will be fundamental in terms of the infrastructure for the B system, the foundation. Just see it as like the connector to all these technologies, the data centers to store and process the information that the AI is using, and of course to store information of users too, as well as the AI being the reasoning, the processing of these of the information that it takes in. Hence why it's likened to a demon as well, because remember, demon, when you get to the etymology, you see the word genius, which of course means intelligent. So of course with this technology, Esau's the Most High really blessed him with that technology, man. That's the thing. And he will use it to further his system. Anyway, let's continue with this.
It's more than just a word box. However, it is possible to, say, get somebody's PIN from an EEG headset. That may sound insane. It's not really reading your thoughts, so how is that done? In order for an EEG to be of much use to you, it does have to understand brainwaves and what they mean.
And by the way, the EEG, electroencephalogram, it's when you connect electrodes to the brain, like those. Let me just get a quick image quickly. So as you can see, different electrodes. Of course, it's a non-invasive manner, which means it doesn't go through the skull. The implant, the Neuralink implant, it will go through the skull, so that's going to be an invasive surgery. But this one is non-invasive, which means it's on the outside. It doesn't go on the inside. So they just connect these electrodes to the brain, as you can see here. And of course, depending on certain tests that they make, it will trigger certain brain signals. So what she was saying in the video was the fact that when they're able to discern, okay, if a person's just put their pin in, a brain signal just fired, a neuron just fired. And of course, from that neuron firing, the computer will be able to see, oh, okay, this part of the brain just lit up. So that's what this is essentially used for. So that's an application. Of course, it's used for other things like sleep disorders, epilepsy, and things that are related to like brain disorders. But this application can be used further than just for disabilities or mental hindrances.
But this is something AI is very good at. It is more than just a word box. However, it is possible to, say, get somebody's PIN from an EEG headset. That may sound insane. It's not really reading your thoughts, so how is that done? In order for an EEG to be of much use to you, it does have to understand brainwaves and what they mean. When you recognize something, you do have a little ping in your brain that a computer could decode. So if, say, different numbers were to flash on the screen, then yes, it could determine if you're looking at a familiar number, and this has been demonstrated. It would be very difficult to actually get somebody's bank information from just an EEG, although with technology like AI, it's not impossible in the future, and this is something we have to be concerned about. Some states are working ahead of the game to make brain privacy laws, but this only includes things like advertisements, because guess where the holy trove of information is? How your brain reacts when you are looking at something. Now, I guess on a bright note, states are working to make sure that we have brain privacy before this technology becomes widespread and before it becomes really good. But if you know one thing that we've learned, it's that you're probably going to have to click a button to say yes, you consent to having your brainwaves read by a company to determine what they can sell you. There is also a lot of money involved in advertising, so if somebody can find a way to legally do that, they probably will, and it's up to us to decide how we feel about it. All the same issues apply to brain chips, except significantly more. Brain chips can go potentially in both directions, so you can put information inside somebody's head. They are good enough that you could record somebody's inner speech, listen to your inner monologue. Do not.
You see, you hear that? I'm gonna rewind it again. You could put thoughts into a brain, and of course, you can decode thoughts from out of the brain as well. I remember there was an article. I did a video on it years ago on Facebook having a technology where just from having thoughts, well, I think it was based on the neck where you could be silent, you could be having a thought, and then whatever they use, maybe some kind of a patch or something, where they just attach it to the neck, they'll be able to detect the micro muscle movement. And from the micro muscle movement of the neck, they'll be able to discern, oh, okay, he's thinking this, he's thinking that. So that could be that's a certain level of mind reading there, right there. We're coming into times where there's going to be brain hacking happening. Imagine brain hacking. There's hacking where when it comes to technologies, you get unauthorized access. That type of hacking in terms of computer systems. But then there's brain hacking. One could even say there's even body hacking as well, which is what Esau was trying to do during the 2020, 2021, during the demic, that worldwide situation. There's body hacking, man. And those who took the V, of course, you could say they got hacked. Hence why we've got to be grateful to Yahweh Shimi Shai for preserving us during those times, man. And the mercy and patience that He's had upon us. So, but again, as the scriptures say, the Most High will have mercy upon whom He will have mercy on. All right, so what point was I even making? Anyways, but yeah, you could put thoughts in. Yeah, we're coming into a time of brain hacking, And then, of course, body hacking as well. Biological warfare, and of course, neuro warfare as well.
More, brain shifts can go potentially in both directions. So you can put information inside somebody's head. They are good enough that you could record somebody's inner speech.
You see, you can put thoughts inside somebody's head. Esau wants to be like the Most High. All right, this is Isaiah 14 and verse 13. It says, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." So this is Esau's dream, Esau's vision. But he won't achieve that. He won't. "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit." So, of course, to a state of destruction, lower level. Now it says, "They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble and that did shake the kingdoms?" So that's why he's going to be brought down. When he's in that state of destruction, which is going to be in our kingdom, in Yahushua's kingdom, people will see him like, damn, is this actually the guy who did it? Because he'll be in such a low state. He'll be in a state of hell, which is really a mind state as well. Of course, it refers to the grave as well, but it's a mind state too. Esau's going to be in that very, very low and destructive mind state because he's going to be under us and he's going to go through a whole load of pain. But the point is, despite him trying to be like the Most High, he won't achieve that. But of course, through his actions, that this is what he's trying to do. Hence, as the woman said in the video, he can put, there's technologies out there where, thoughts can be placed into a person's brain. So imagine those who take that Neuralink implant. You're flipping trying to sleep and then Esau's just putting thoughts in your head. You start bugging out, man. That'll most likely even make people bug out anyways, especially focusing on the Neuralink and, the brain implant, the MOTB. People start having demons on them, man, on a whole nother level. Getting oppressed. Black Mirror type of thing. All right, let's get back to the... Actually, hold on. Let me get this precept as well. So Isaiah 19 and verse 14. "The Lord Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err," make mistakes, fail in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. That's why, as I named the video, yes, all of Esau's tech and devices are hackable, which shows the flawed technology or flawed power of Esau, and also shows in itself that he can't be a power. How can he be a power when you're not even in perfection? So he's just trying to go in a roundabout way to achieve these things, which, again, the Most High is still giving Esau his limits, his bounds. All right, let's get this one as well. All right, let's see. This is Isaiah 13, verse 1. "Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin." And of course, referring to Jake as well. They're the ones who are going to trust in Egypt, man. Trust in Egypt's technologies, and the government and all. But they'll be surely, exposed, as we know from Revelation 16 and verse 2, with the noisome and grievous sore. But also not just that, there's going to be a hard realization, man, that, oh, damn, they trusted their enemy. You're too comfortable with your enemy. But as the scriptures say in Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10, never trust thine enemy. All right, let me read verse 2 as well. So it says, "That walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth," in terms of inquiring of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, they leaned on their understanding. They thought, oh, okay, yeah, Esau, Edom can be trusted. No. Your understanding ain't even based on the scriptures anyways, man. If it was based upon the scriptures, then, of course, you'd be leaning on the wisdom and the knowledge of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, which is true understanding. There's levels. So it says to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt, which is going to be a great shame unto those Israelites who trusted in Esau, Edom, man. But let me get this. And yeah, I'm gonna close out. Then the rest of the video, I'll link it in the description if you want to watch it. It's just a short 3-minute video anyway, so that will be it. Alright, so let's see this. Sometimes certain apps be having adverts on them, man. You gotta wait for the advert timer to run out. Alright, so Proverbs 20 and verse 7 says, the just man walketh in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. You see? So, of course, in this time, this is when integrity is going to be tested, man. Which integrity just means strong moral principles. Our moral principles are based upon these scriptures, the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. As the scripture saying in Isaiah 33, I believe verse 6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. So of course, let's see that again. Hold on. Yep. Isaiah 33 and 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua is his treasure. So those of us who have the reasoning of the scriptures, Harakak Wadash, to be able to even reason with the scriptures, to understand the scriptures, that's what helps us to have that strong foundation to then reject the MOTB. That's why we also say Yahweh Tazah, because it's Yahweh's will, for us, whether a person takes it or not. But you gotta maintain faith that you won't take it. That's the point. Now, again, it's Yahweh Tazah, man. Hence why you gotta remain humble, pray, do your fasting. And Yahweh Tazah, the same way we're working right now, we're showing our faith. We believe that in that time, Yahweh shall put the spirit upon us to reject it. Not to, because you gotta have faith. As you reason with the scriptures, okay, this is what's gonna happen, that's what's gonna happen, and of course, you also help to increase your faith as well. In Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So that's really the point. As long as you keep going, those of us keep doing the work to the family of the word, and of course to endure to the end, then Yahushua will preserve us in the time of temptation, which is when people are going to be most tempted to take the MOTB. The same way he still saved brothers during the V. That was like a little test in 2020, 2021. It's the same way Yahushua is going to save us again when the actual exam comes through, which is the MOTB. So Yaratazar, you find it edifying and exhorting. Exhort means to encourage, edify meaning to build. And Kahala Imla Yahaba Shim Yashaba Shim Kudash, double honors to great apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom.